Hi, and welcome to the Dinner Agenda. This is Bo.
And this is CeeLo.
Hello, CeeLo.
What's up?
What's up?
I was doing that the other day with my kids. They were like, I don't know, hanging around in the living room. I'm like, what's up? And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, that's a classic from the 80s. I think it's based on a football commercial or something.
No, is it? Or was it from Scream? The movie Scream.
I remember it. I think it was like a
Oh, maybe it
Super
was a football
Bowl
commercial.
commercial.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
And there's like three guys and they're all calling each other. The game is on or whatever. And they're like,
Yeah.
what's up? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
think
was.
you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. That's funny because we were all doing that back then too. Like, what's up? What's
I
up?
know.
It's
Oh,
funny
man.
that Iz did not know this. It gives me
My
pleasure when there's these things that she doesn't know. Oh, and by the way,
my
you
Gen
know,
Y kids,
yeah, I know. You know
right?
how she, quizzed us on words
Yes.
that they
Yeah.
okay, so there's a commercial on for Tide laundry
Yes.
detergent
Yes.
where one of the young girls says, "Mom, he's got no Riz." And I'm like, "I know what that means now. I know what that means."
Oh, that is so funny.
Yeah, yeah,
It's funny that you mentioned that actually because the other thing that they do is they instead of, like, shake your hand or give you a high five, they
yeah.
dab you up.
The
They
what?
dab you. They dab you up. They dab,
What does that mean?
and it's kind of
What?
like a little handshake.
Uh,
So Buddy
how
will
does
Buddy will say, "Mama, dab me up." I'm like, "Okay," and we do the little handshake.
dab
It's a
me
thing.
up? And but
Dab,
how what's
D-A-B.
the handshake like? Like a normal handshake, or is it like
It's like you shake and then you curl in a finger and then you link a finger and then you snap a finger. That's the dab that we have.
oh, Lord.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Anyways, the funny part about that is I was at one of his hockey games and they have a flood between the second and third period. So the boys go into the change room. So they've
Mhm,
played two periods. They're in the change room.
mhm.
Third period's about to start. They're all coming out to line up. And I went over to them. I'm like, let's go, blah, blah, cheering them on or whatever. And Buddy says, "My mom knows how to dab. Dab
Ah,
him up. Dab up this guy." So then the
ah.
kid takes off his glove, like 2 of them in the
Yeah,
line take off their glove, and I'm doing the handshake with these kids, right? I'm
yeah,
thinking I'm so cool,
yeah.
and I am. I am
Of
so
course.
cool.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
But then I realized very quickly that my hand stunk so badly because there is
Oh.
no piece of hockey equipment that stinks worse than a glove, I think, is yes. Blech, it was so
Oh.
gross. And then I was like and I didn't wanna, like, go wash my hands because the 3rd period was starting, so I was, like, basically keeping my hand out like this so I didn't have to smell it.
CeeLo.
Ugh, so gross.
CeeLo, I have to say, I am very glad I do not have a son, and B, oh, like, why are boys so
So gross.
smelly? It's
Mhm.
like
It doesn't matter what you do, those gloves are so gross. I think
oh, that's
because
disgusting.
most of the other stuff can easily go in the wash, but with the
Yeah,
gloves,
you
like,
can't.
even if you do wash them, they've gotta sit to dry almost,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's not during the season, it's tough to find a time, so you always air them out. We have, like, these little
Mhm.
charcoal things, odor
Yeah,
things that we stick in them, but
doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter. They reek.
Oh. Okay, well, you know what? I'm okay
Toasty.
to not have a dab during a game. Just pointing
Yes.
that fact out.
But next time we're together, I'll teach you the dab.
Okay, you do that.
Okay. Then
You
you
do
can be
that.
hip like me.
Yeah, okay. So let me tell you what I did yesterday, last night actually.
Please, let's go.
Um, oh my gosh, did I ever love it. So, I went to have you ever done those candlelight concerts that they offer?
No?
Do you know what I'm talking about? No?
I
Okay.
do. I've seen them advertised. They look really cool, but I haven't been to one.
Okay, so I've actually gone to quite a few now, and I absolutely love them. You know how in the last episode I had mentioned that I had a lot, like, 2 back-to-back kind of concerts, and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
happened to be the week that it was happening. So, the first one that I went to earlier in the week was, like a jazz one, and they had a beautiful, like, she was stunning and so talented singer with a band in the background, and she was doing all the old jazz, songs from, like, Nina Simone, Billie Holiday, like, that kinda stuff, so that was freaking awesome. But then last night, I went to one of the other candlelight ones, and it was the Best of Joe Hisashi. Hisashi?
Yeah.
Hisashi.
Uh,
I had no idea who this dude was, and I didn't even know if I knew his music, but the friend that I went with was like, "Oh, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it." It was like strings, right?
yeah.
And it was like a string quartet or whatever. Anyways, oh my god, it was phenomenal and stunning, and I actually did recognize some of the songs, like some of the pieces or whatever, but you know what? I loved it. I love these candlelight things because they're very affordable, and
Yeah.
then they only last an hour. So you don't have to sit there like for a whole, so you go and then you go for dinner and it's a nice little evening out. And I've actually brought Dave to a couple and he's
Yeah.
able to sustain it because it's not very long. But the one that we did go to that Dave and I went to, it was a string quartet that did oh no, sorry, it was the two cellos. So there's two
Oh,
guys, you know
yeah.
who I'm talking about? Yeah. They are called the 2 cellos. This was kind of like a spin-off of that. So there were 2 guys on cellos doing classic rock tunes, and it was phenomenal, and Dave loved it. So,
That's
really liked it.
fun.
But here's the funny thing. So the concert finishes last night,
Yeah.
and then my friend
Where
and I
was
say,
it?
"Okay." It was the community by Bloor Community Church. Here, I can probably do you know who I'm talking about?
No, it's all good. I was like,
Okay.
was it downtown? Was it out in the East End?
Downtown,
Like,
it was
yeah.
downtown, and it's like it's the some community church that's there, a United Church, and it's gorgeous because they have, like, it's all old wood in there, and what they do is they set the whole scene up with candles, like, they're fake
Yeah.
candles, um, battery operated kinda thing, but the whole stage is just covered in these candles, and the aisles going down where the pews are, there's, like, I candles on the floor, like, it's beautiful, and when you walk in, it's stunning. It's really stunning.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
yeah, it's gorgeous, and then you sit and you listen to the strings, and it's just it takes you away. It's very magical. So I highly recommend you do it, but my friend and I decided that we were going to go for dinner after the show.
Yeah.
Great. So we go to our favorite restaurant, right? And, like, that's where we're gonna go. So we're driving to our favorite restaurant, and we get stuck on Bloor Street. There's all these police, like tons of police, and we're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then you hear the crowd, "Oh," like it was like, and this mob of, it looked like thousands of people. It was a protest, Palestinians against the Israeli war.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was and it was a huge, huge protest. I had never seen so many people in one place before in my life. It was just insane. So that got us a tiny little bit nervous because there was just so many people.
Yeah.
So we just kind of diverted. We went into a very popular parking lot that is underground, and we just parked the car there and kind of made our way around to the restaurant in a different route. So yeah,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, protest aside, really driving anywhere around downtown is gonna take for fucking ever. Oh
I
my
know it's awful.
god.
I see though. It's awful. I know.
So bad. It's so
I know.
bad.
I know.
Every other week, it's something new or a new lane closure, and I'm
Did
so
you
done with
hear
it.
about, and I'm gonna get the whole thing wrong, like, in terms of the team, whatever it is, but I think it was a hockey team or a basketball team, I can't even remember, but it was
Okay.
I know, right? Well, it's me here we're talking about,
Yep.
but it was some sports team that was, I wanna say it was basketball, but no, maybe it was hockey. Anyways, they actually shut up, CeeLo. They actually had to get out of their tour bus and walk to the stadium so that they could be on time for the fucking game. These
The
hockey or
only
sports.
time I've heard that
Yeah,
was
I mean,
during the Paris Olympics in the
no.
summer.
This
Skateboarders
was this
skating
week.
to the thing.
I'm gonna look it up. Team
Yeah, I'm
had
gonna need
to
to look it
walk.
up.
I'm going to so that I can tell you, yeah, to game. Let's see if I
I'm
can
glad
find
that
it.
you're taking notes.
NHL team ditches bus and walks to Scotiabank Arena amid the traffic jam. So it was hockey.
Was it the
It was
Leafs
hockey.
or who they were playing?
Utah. Uh,
Oh, the Utah
oh,
team, yeah.
just a second.
That
Let's
was
see
the other
here.
night.
It says um, the Utah Hockey Club got the full Toronto experience Sunday night ahead of their first ever matchup against the Maple Leafs. Bumper to bumper traffic that forced the team to walk to the game. So, and then they did all these little snippets on the news where they had like Tom Cruise coming on. He was doing some interview, not recently, but it was like a past one. He
Yeah,
was doing
yeah.
some, and he said, "What is up with Toronto's traffic?" So it used to be California was known for having
Yeah,
really shitty bumper to bumper. Well, traffic, Toronto has beat California now at this point. Like
yeah.
we're
I
stupid and insane. Hmm.
100%. Like, it's so much easier to go outside of the city. It's
Oh yeah,
way more kilometers to drive it,
yeah.
but it takes way less time because in the
Oh yeah,
city is just banana.
yeah, yeah. It's
But
true.
speaking of hockey,
Yeah.
again, my
Oh god.
favorite topic.
Yeah.
Mel and I have season tickets to the Toronto PWHL. Ooh, the
Oh,
Toronto
very cool.
Scepter.
That's right. And
Mhm,
how
and
I've
their first
heard that
game.
they're doing really well, like that they're very, very good. And a lot of people are
If
like they love watching it.
if there's ever a game that wifey
Mhm.
can't make it to, I'll bring you and
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
come and watch. It is I mean,
yeah,
it's great hockey. It's
yeah,
girl power, 2 of the
yeah,
things I love right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Um, it their
You're
home opener is today.
Oh, very cool. Are you going today?
Yeah, we're going today.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Your,
it's all coming.
video is very blurry. Does it look like that on your end?
It's blurred. It's like my glamour filter.
Oh god, it is a
I don't know.
filter where we can't even see you. Oh, well, that's okay. I'll enjoy talking to a blob today.
No.
We're all
I don't
good.
know why it's blurry.
Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Maybe because 'cause I'm moving.
I don't know. But anyways, so that's good. So you got the
Yeah.
season tickets. That's awesome. Good.
Yeah, and the home opener's today, so we're pretty pumped. We're doing a
Mm.
joint birthday celebration. So we've got our game, and then once
Yes.
it's done with work, the 4 of us are gonna go out for a nice dinner.
Yes. Because someone's birthday is happening in a couple of days.
Yes, ma'am.
Silo's
35
birthday,
again, you know?
35 for the 50th time.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
happy
that'll be
pre-birthday.
good.
I'll wait
Thanks.
until the day of to actually wish you an official, but it sounds great. I'm glad you're doing a joint birthday because I know that, Mel was away, for
Mhm.
that other hockey tournament, with your son, and you guys couldn't
Yeah.
celebrate last week, so
For
yeah. Yeah,
hers for her
yeah,
birthday, yeah. I
yeah.
think we're almost, like, exactly a week apart or a week and a day or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? The yesterday was Black Friday.
Yes,
Did you go
yes.
shopping?
Yes.
Where'd
Well,
you go?
online. Online. I did not go out.
Oh,
I had a busy day yesterday. I was, I had unfortunately, I hate having back-to-back meetings on Fridays, but I did, and,
yeah,
for work. So I could not there was not even time to pop out for even half an hour. So, but I did do some online shopping, last night, and, I did get a couple little things. So I did
deals.
buy a few little articles of clothing, and then my face cream that I really like, was on sale, so I bought that as well. So
Oh,
that's
good
it.
for
I didn't go
you.
crazy though. Oh, but you know what I did buy? Sorry. I bought a new coffee maker, but I had bought that last week because Amazon was having like the pre-Black Friday sale.
Yeah, it's like Black
So my
Friday week or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, I love coffee. I love my morning coffee. I know you love your morning
Yes.
coffee too. I had bought a beautiful, very expensive coffee maker, not coffee maker, but like an espresso maker. And it was like a
Yeah.
real espresso machine, right? Similar to
Yeah.
what you guys have in your house, right? Um, I won't say the brand. Maybe I should at one point, but I'm just a little bit nervous about kind of outing them. But this one particular brand I will never buy again. The unit where the milk gets frothed, so the cup
Yes.
sits on the thing and it measures the heat so it can tell, if the milk is at temperature, right? Well,
Yeah.
that thing broke, and when that thing breaks, it shuts the entire machine down, okay? For this particular brand, which I did not know. So, I had not even had this machine for a year. I called the company and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll fix it for you, but you're going to have to spend $450 to ship it out to us. Then you're going to have to pay for us to fix it, and then you're going to have to pay to have it shipped back to you." And this is a very heavy machine,
Yeah.
right? And it has to be shipped out to Montreal. And I'm just like, you guys are fucking assholes because that you're going to cost me over $1,000, which is what I've already paid for this machine.
Yeah.
So that's how they get around it, is that kind of very unethical, "Yeah, yeah, there's a warranty, we'll fix it for you, but" right?
You've gotta keep it here. That's
Yeah, so
bonkers.
I was really pissed. I'll never buy that brand again, but, my cousin had bought this other coffee machine, which she said she really liked, and, I think it was a Cuisinart. I think it's Cuisinart, and it's, um kind of like an espresso machine. You can grinds the beans for you, and
Yep.
then you put it into like a little pod, and it does the whole
Yep.
espresso for you. You put it okay. So I bought that one. It hasn't arrived yet, but it was on sale. So I got that for Black Friday as well. What about
We
you?
have, we have our coffee machine in the kitchen at home is a Jura, Jura,
Okay.
and it's fucking awesome. I love that
Really?
coffee machine. We've had it for a few years.
Yeah.
But again, it's super pricey, but worth it in my mind. There's certain things that it's like, this
Yes.
is totally worth spending the extra
Yes.
bucks on.
Yeah.
Um, but we do have a Cuisinart up at the camp, and, it's just a
Oh,
regular coffee pot thing, and it's lasted forever. I think we had a Cuisinart carafe pot here, it lasted
right.
forever, so you'll be
Right.
happy with it, I think. The Cuisinart
Yeah.
brand is good.
Well, it's not a drip coffee maker, like, it makes
No,
espresso. Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm
machine,
talking about.
machine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
proper machine,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
do
gonna
like that
actually
fresh ground bean. The fresh
Me
ground beans do
too.
make a difference, yeah.
Me too, I agree with you. But I'm gonna take a look at that Jura, and I thought that I had done that, where I was willing to spend a couple of thousand on this espresso maker, because
Yeah,
I do enjoy my coffee, but this particular brand was freaking garbage, garbage.
yeah.
So, won't do that again.
I had, I forget why we were looking at, um or talking about the coffee, fuck. I
It's
need
okay.
more
You
coffee. I
you
need
can
more
do
coffee.
it. I
The
have
ones that
faith
have the
in
pods that you buy, right? The little
Oh, like
pod you
the,
put in a
Nespresso or the
Nespresso
Keurig.
or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And, Mel's like, I read an article that said that the aluminum that's in the little pod package is supposed
Uh-huh.
to be not so good for you. And I'm
Oh,
like, "Oh, I knew it wasn't great for the environment, although some of them have the ones you can put your own coffee in, and
that's
some of
right.
them have ones that you can recycle now and all that jazz." But
Yeah.
and then I, like, looked it up and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, they have aluminum." The Nespresso ones, I think, have aluminum in them, and it's not so good for you,
Really?
so
Really?
mhm.
Well, okay, so I'll have to look at this because we also have an espresso machine and we've also got a drip coffee maker. Yes, I know. But we like our coffee. We like our coffee. And
You're
like
all
it's
about
not like
coffee and clocks.
coffee and clocks and artwork. Yeah, I like my little artwork too. But no, but from a coffee perspective, it's we have typically 2 cups a day. On occasion, I'll have a third one, like maybe just one in the afternoon, but that's just on occasion. But usually it's 2 cups, both Dave and I, so 4 cups in the morning.
Mhm.
And we enjoy our coffee and we like to have the option of what we feel like. So there's times when I feel like having a drip coffee, which I do. There's times when I feel like having an espresso or a latte or something, which I like. And sometimes I just need the convenience of having something quick. And that's usually when I use the Nespresso, because in the
Yeah.
afternoon, if I'm working and I want a quick coffee, I'll go down and just make a quick Nespresso because it takes 2 seconds. You've got your coffee and then you're back at your desk working, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I totally get it. I was
but
chatting with some people at work this week and I said, let's invent coffee injectables. Like the little injectable pen like you would
yeah,
use, right? For
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And it would just be like filled with pure caffeine. so that
No.
if you were having, like, a down day or whatever and
Oh,
you needed some it would just be like,
isn't that called serotonin? Just isn't that what you need?
maybe.
But don't you enjoy the whole experience of having your first cup of coffee in the morning?
Oh, 100%, I'm down for that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
sometimes it needs to hit quicker.
it does. Okay, so one thing I wanted to mention to you, though, when you were talking about the aluminum, and this might
Yeah.
actually be a nice segue into what we're actually talking about today, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Because, there's everything that you do in this world or consume in this world, at some point in time, someone's going to come out with an article or a whatever that says, oh, you know what? This is bad for you. Oh, you know what? This is, whatever. And this is another prime example where it's like these Nespresso pods and these Keurig pods and all these other ones. They've been around for years and years and years now. Now, all of a sudden, there's this one article that comes out that says, "Oh, there might be some aluminum," and then you're gonna get people that are like, "Oh my god, I'm giving up my Nespresso machine," or "I'm giving up
Espresso,
my
yeah,
whatever." Think the same thing, and it's bizarre because, was it aspartame recently that was in the news? Do you know what I'm talking
for
about?
a while it's been in the
Well,
news.
there's been, debates on whether or not it's been healthy or not been healthy for you, and now they're starting to show actual proof of it not being healthy for you, right? So, it's just
It not being healthy for you, proof of
mm.
that has been out for years, dude.
Well, I'm just thinking so, yes, it has been, but I think recently no, 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 no. So what I'm saying though is, Silo,
Yes.
um prior to from my understanding, okay, prior to, um, the articles and the research was basically saying if you have it in excess, then it can be detrimental to your health, right? But to
Right,
have
right.
a diet soda here and there or whatever that contains it, you should be fine. Recently though, the doctor, like some of the experts and researchers or whatever, are now starting to come out with, listen, you shouldn't consume it at all. Like it's like a known carcinogen or something along those lines. So
Yeah,
it's just morphing now into, more
yeah,
information. So
yeah.
and this happens with everything, especially food, right? And I think that
Well,
yeah, that's the topic that we're going to
which
touch on today.
yeah. Yeah, we
So
didn't
I
do
thought
our
that,
usual what's on the agenda.
oh, what's on the agenda? Well, it's just because,
We're gonna
okay.
talk about
Hey, CeeLo.
food.
Hey, CeeLo, what's on the agenda?
Aspartame.
Aspartame. We're going to do a whole episode on aspartame. How do you take
Aspartame.
yours?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a good one to talk about because I've been thinking more and more about it. And I mentioned to you in a recent pod, we were using the Yuka app when we did Shop Till You Drop weekend with my sisters.
Yep.
And we were scanning all of these different things. And I'm using it to scan for additives basically, right?
Okay.
Like what are
Mhm.
those ultra processed additives kind of that are bad for you? If I'm scanning a chocolate bar and it says, "Hey, this is poor because it's got a lot of sugar in it." No shit, Sherlock. But when you scan it and it does come up and say it's got additives in it that are banned in Europe.
Yeah.
It's got additives in it that are considered carcinogens. And I'm
Mhm.
like, why are we putting this shit in our food?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't
Anyway,
know. I don't know.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about it, and I think what kind of sparked me was our the episode we did with Christine Glaves,
Yes.
right? When we were
Yeah.
talking about general health, right? But we talked a little bit about food and trying to keep how do you eat clean? How do you stay away from processed foods? And, I think we're gonna try and have her back to dive deep.
Yeah.
I have, like, an ongoing list of more questions for her that I've
I
been
know.
jotting down,
I know.
so we'll
It
have
grows
to
and
have her back.
grows as you start to it's almost like she's planted that seed, right, of information, and then you start to kind of go down this road of Googling and investigating, and then it creates even more questions, and you're trying to get things straight, and I think the one thing that I took from that whole thing was, like, look at life is life, you're gonna have to live it.
Yep,
We're surrounded by food. So what you do is the majority of time try to eat real food.
Yes.
If you have to do processed, just do processed, not ultra processed. Ultra processed is the one that's the real
Really
enemy.
bad. Yeah.
Processed is anything that has just been modified. So even like we were saying before, ground beef, that is considered processed. Milk is
Yes.
considered processed. Cheese is
Yeah.
considered processed, but they're whole foods in a sense, right? So like
Right.
yeah, so it's ultra processed. It's the McDonald's, it's the chocolate, it's the shit that has ingredients that you can't
Why you
pronounce.
gotta shame me on my chocolate?
I'm not. Listen, it has not
You
stopped
know
me from
what?
eating it, but I'm just saying.
I
I
know, I
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I know that there is better chocolate to eat than, say, a Kit Kat or a Smarties, but
right.
I don't want that better chocolate. Like, we talked about this already,
I
give me
know.
the Twix. If I want my chocolate, I want something
Yeah,
horribly bad for me.
yep,
But, I totally lost my train of thought. We were talking about Christine, we were talking about the ultra
food.
processed
Yes.
food.
So what we okay, so let me start with now
Mhm.
there's been a lot of yeah, you lost it, eh? Okay, that's okay.
It'll
So
come back.
there is a lot of focus on food. You and I have been on diets throughout our lives.
Just about
Um
80,
yeah,
80, 90 of them.
I literally think I have actually tried pretty much everything out there. Literally, I think I have. But
Yes.
the first okay, I wanna so we'll talk about food, but I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Yes.
And it's kind of food related, but, you are a fan, I think, of Thousand Pound Sisters, right? That's the show that you watch? Do you watch that show?
That's a guilty pleasure that I don't admit to anyone, but now that it's out there, I have watched that show. I don't watch it regularly, but I
Okay.
have watched it, yes.
And I used to say to you when you would say, "Oh my god, I watched this show, da, da," and I would be like, "How could you watch that? Like, why? Like, what" like, to me, it feels like, society is like putting these people who are struggling with food issues out on public display and people are like watching them like they're a circus act. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it
Yes.
feels like to me and it bothers me. And I think it bothers me because I am in the larger body category and I
Yes.
feel like well I mean I'm not that large that I qualify for that show. You know what I'm talking about? But it's like I
We're the 1,000 pound podcast now.
st
Oh, go get me a sody pop.
yeah, sody pop
A
with
sody
lots
pop.
of aspartame.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? It's like maybe I'm a little
Yeah.
bit more sensitive to it, but what is the attraction to you for this show?
Okay. 2 things to address here.
Okay.
One is you're saying they put these people on a show and it's like a circus and
Yeah,
it's bad, right?
yeah.
Every fucking reality show
I
is the
know.
same thing. It's a
I know,
bad circus, it's a bad car crash, it's a
but
I
they're
can't
not
stop watching because
making
it's like,
fun of fat people. Like the like, is
okay,
Real
so they're making
Housewives
fun of rich people or they're making fun of people who get
okay.
lip filler or people who love monkeys or people who like the list goes on and on. That's reality TV.
You
People
had
who
to bring
can't
Chimp
find
Crazy
love, who
into
wanna
this.
find love, who, like
Okay, you
all
got a
that.
point,
It's
you
all
got a
the
point,
same.
you got a
It's
point,
all the same.
you got a
And
point.
so I don't put them in any other worse or better category than any other reality
Yeah,
show.
okay.
And I don't like I find it interesting to see like their struggle and relationship with food because
Mhm,
it's relatable.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
would say whereas like the people on Love is Blind or the people on Rich Housewives, I don't relate so much to those stories.
mhm,
But I don't think that's why I watch reality TV. I watch it for the bad car crash moments. I
okay,
watch it for the, "I can't believe they just said, did, or acted that way."
m'kay.
That's it. That's all it is, and but I do think you're right because I remember having that conversation and you're like, "How can you support that show?"
Yeah,
Like yeah.
yeah,
Have you
I know,
watched it
it's
though?
just you
You've
know what?
watched it?
You had oh my god, this was years ago, you had mentioned and you said, "You gotta just check it out," and I think I did check it out for, like, a hot minute.
Yeah.
I found like, they were just so trashy and so whatever that it's like
So trash.
I had It's so trash. I had a hard time kind of, getting into it, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I haven't. But I think they've had bariatric surgery since, right? Like they've lost a whole bunch of weight, I think. So
I think
I believe
the last time I think one of them had, I don't know if both of them have had.
both.
The other
I think they
one
both,
oh, they both did? Okay.
both. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hope that they're doing well. I don't wish anything ill on them.
No,
The other
no.
one is the, what's the Doctor Now one?
Oh,
The
oh,
bariatric
oh,
surgeon guy. What's
yeah.
that called?
Oh shit. My 600-pound life? No, that's yeah. My 600-pound life.
Maybe, yeah.
Here, let me
I
let me
think you're
Google it.
right. I
Yeah, I
think
think
you're
it
right.
is.
That's what it is. And then, like, he has them come in,
Yeah,
talks to them about what they should be doing or how much they need to lose before they go do the surgery.
that's right. Yeah, my 600-pound life.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
And again, like, I watched that like, I used to watch Intervention like crazy as well. I just find it so
True, I did
interesting.
that too. You're right. You know what? Now that you say that, you know what? You've got a point. Okay, well, I'm glad I asked the question.
Cut me some
I just
slack.
thought you were an asshole watching fat people and making fun of them, but now understand why you're doing it.
No, not at all. Although if I had any of those any reality show, it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
what it is, on the TV when Mel is home and she, like, walked in and saw what was on the TV, it is like the voice of my dad when he used to come home and my sisters and I would be watching, like, Young and the Restless. It's like,
Yes.
"What the hell is that? Why do you got that crap on?" Mel hates that shit. Hates it. Yeah.
That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay,
Guilty
good.
pleasure.
Okay, so let me ask you,
Yeah.
talking about food, talking about, you know, fat people and overweight and blah blah blah.
Yes.
The amount of diets that we've been on. So we're coming up into to Christmas at this point, and I know that weight and watching your food and blah 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 is a very important thing to a lot of people. And then then there's the January kind of New Year's resolutions and the diets and stuff
Mhm.
like that. I've actually stopped doing resolutions like that because
Yeah.
it just sets me up for fucking failure. But I thought it would be fun to talk about the diets that we've actually tried. So
Yes.
I know, let's start with the one that you and I did together, which was Weight Watchers.
WW. Yeah,
Yeah.
baby.
And so we did this in our 20s, I think it
I
was,
was gonna
right?
say, like, 30 years ago.
Was it 30s? Okay. I don't remember,
No,
but
no,
it
I
was
said 30 years ago.
oh,
That's how long
when we
it's
were
been.
10.
Yeah,
Um
I would
So
say.
I remember you and I doing Weight Watchers, and we would go, and I think we mentioned this on other episodes as well. You and I would go. I think Thursday nights was the weigh-in, right? And so we would go to the weigh-in,
Yes.
and we would weigh our get weighed in and show that we had like a 2-pound weight loss or whatever it was, and then we'd go out to the store and we'd buy all kinds of fucking shit. And we'd gorge
Yes.
ourselves on this fucking shit because it was like, "Okay, today is weigh-in, so now we've got the whole week
Be good,
again."
be good, be good,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
yeah.
And what I
I think
didn't
I
realize
remember it coming out and there was, like we had pre-bought.
yeah,
We
and it
had
was in the
and there
car.
was, like, cookies on the front seat, and so we would, like, go in and wait and then come out and the cookies were right there. I can picture the Oreos, man, I can picture it.
Oh, fuck, are we ever bad for each other? But okay, so
Yes,
anyways.
totally. So bad.
Yeah, I know. So I remember that, and part of what I think about when I reflect back on that, I say, "Holy shit, were we ever starting a disordered eating situation there?" Because it's like we were like, "Good, good, 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 good," and then gorge. Good, good, good,
Yes,
good, good, and then gorge, and it was creating this cycle of deprivation, and then, you get this food
the
almost kind of like
reward.
yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Or that cheat day or that whatever, but all that that teaches you is that restriction is not sustainable in the long term.
yeah,
But then it
totally.
also teaches you, these bad habits of I'm desiring like I'm forbidden from eating certain things, and so therefore you desire them even more, and then they become golden. So I
Yeah,
remember when I was dealing with my therapist at one point with food issues, And one of the things that she said is, because I said to her, like, how do normal people eat? Like, how do normal people look at food? And she said, people who have not been on a lifelong cycle of yo-yo dieting, right?
Yeah.
They look at food as food. So when they're eating, they're saying to like they're actually assessing, I'd like to feel a bit good today, so I'm going to be eating this. I'm out today. Oh, there's a treat. I'm just going to have this. Like there's something sweet. I'm going to have this. Like they're not
I have a
putting
big,
so much.
dinner after work today, and I know it's gonna
Yeah,
be, like, a pasta, so I'm gonna go salad for lunch. Yeah,
but
total.
it's not it's like those kinds of things. But the problem with
Balance.
the people who yo-yo diet is that the fun foods that are out there, right? Like the cake, the chips, the whatever, they then become escalated in your mind to like this gold star premium, oh my God, we can never get this food. And it becomes almost like godlike, if you will. You know what I mean? Like it becomes something that you covet because you can't have it. You feel like you can't
Yeah,
have it.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it
It's
sets
illegal.
it in yeah, it sets it into like a new it sets the new bar for what that food is. And so therefore you become more obsessed with that food. And all you want to do is eat that food or think about that food. So, I think the worst thing that humans have done to themselves is creating diets. Like
Yeah,
diets, if you will, like the actual programs and stuff. So,
yeah,
because I think that that's caused a lot of the issues that we have in society today, for sure.
yeah,
Um,
100%. You're onto
yeah,
something for sure. Because if you just go to
yeah,
Google and say, "What is the worst diet?" It's really anything that restricts to the point where either you're restricting on
yeah,
calories or you're restricting, certain foods because it's
yeah,
not something that's sustainable. It may give you a good drop in the
yeah.
initial days, but if you can't sustain it, then what's the point? And I don't think the sustainment part has been as much of the conversation until lately. I've heard more. But back
Mhm.
in the day, it certainly
It
wasn't
wasn't.
the
Yeah,
you
it
know
was about losing it and then figuring the rest out later.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I get the desire to lose it. I get the motivation that comes with a quick weight loss, because
yeah.
you see those pounds dropping, you see how different your body is functioning and how different you look in clothes, and it's very, very motivating. But yeah, sustainability is the key at this point. So yeah, it's interesting. So I know, like, have you ever tried anything like really restrictive, like Dr. Bernstein?
No.
No. Okay. I did do that one. I did do that
You
one.
did I
That was
remember
awful.
I think I
Yeah.
remember when you did it, and I had another friend that was doing it as well, and it was, like, so restrictive that it was, like,
Oh, it's
they couldn't
awful.
put salt on something, and they couldn't like, they were eating Triscuits, and I'm like, "How is that supposed to be good for you?"
And you had to get shots, energy shots, right? B12 shots because the calorie restriction on the Dr. Bernstein was so severe. I think you were consuming between 800 to 1,200 calories per day, and they actually had to give you B12 shots so that you could function.
Like, that is
Yeah, that was a weekly.
redonkulous.
I know, I know. Otherwise, your body would just start to shut down, right? Like it just because
Yeah.
you're not getting enough nutrition in. You did another diet while back, and I don't remember what it was called, but you would eat high protein, low carb, no sugar for breakfast, lunch, and then you could have whatever you wanted for dinner. Do you remember that?
Is
That
that
was back
something
when you
Mel
were with
made us do?
No, no, that was back when you were with Jen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it
It
was
sounds
very
familiar.
yeah, and you guys had lost some weight. You had lost, I think, like 25 pounds on it, and you
Oh,
would
really?
have, like it was very restrictive.
Yeah,
It was like high protein, low carb, no sugar, breakfast, lunch, right? And then dinner was when you
whatever.
guys could eat.
Yeah,
So
I
you had
do remember.
had me over for do you? Yeah. So you had me over for dinner one night when you guys were on this diet, and, you had made a lovely dinner, and you guys CeeLo,
Oh,
I
really?
still laugh about this. No, no, no. So what ended up happening was I think Jen had made like a pork loin or something like that. Anyways, so you guys barely touched your meal. even though it was a lovely meal. And I kept saying, "Why are you guys what the hell?" You're like, "Look it, this is the only time we're allowed pie. I have 2 pies in that oven, and I'm eating them." Like, this is what you guys were like, and so you guys hardly ate any of your dinner. You fucking sat there with, like,
Oh
literally,
my
like,
god,
forks with your pie. It was
that's hilarious.
yes,
I would do
yes.
that for cake. I don't know if I would do that for pie, but
It
apparently
was
I
pie.
did.
You guys had pie. Yeah,
Thank God
apparently
for
you
your
did.
memory. I would
I
not
know.
know what I did through my youth if it weren't for you.
Listen, my short-term memory is shit, my long-term memory is like an elephant for sure,
Okay, good. I'm
you know?
glad for that. Yeah,
Yeah. So I thought that was really funny.
that is funny. Weight
Now,
Watchers.
Weight
Yeah.
Watchers, now I went on low carb. Do you remember that time when I had lost all that fucking weight?
Yes.
That was on Atkins. That was on the
Yes.
Atkins diet. Yeah.
Is low carb like keto? Is that like the right
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
remember you I can remember you eating something for breakfast and you had like all this bacon.
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand how a diet or, is saying, "Hey, don't have that half piece of toast, but please have half a pound of bacon." Or have all the bacon you fucking want. And I'm like, that feels like not right to me. It feels not right. Like I get the
I know.
concept of keto and
I know. I know. I know. Honestly, CeeLo, but you know what? I lost a shit ton of weight. I lost a shit ton of weight on that diet. I was on it. That was probably my longest standing diet I've ever had. I was on that for a year.
yeah,
I lost a shit ton of fucking weight on that diet.
yeah,
And the problem was, and here's the weird thing. Okay, so it was definitely low carb, and I stuck to it like I was obsessed. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I really stuck to it.
yeah,
I would not have I was diligent with my carb intake and keeping it under 20 grams per day. Like I was diligent with that, right? I had gone on vacation
yeah.
to Mexico with some friends. And so,
Mexico.
yeah. And so I said to myself, when I'm on this, because it was a 1 week all inclusive, I'm going to give myself a break from the low carb and I'm going to enjoy myself while I'm on this vacation and then, get back to it. CeeLo, I was there 1 day, and I'm not kidding you. I was there 1 fucking day, and some of the pants that I brought, I couldn't get into anymore. They were just too tight. And one of the reasons I realized this now no, I realize this now. I'm not exaggerating. What ended up happening was because you're on this, like, low carb diet,
Yes.
you're also kind of depleting water and, like, everything's kind of flushing right through you. And the second you start eating normally, your body retains water. You start to bloat because you're putting carbs back into your body. And you gain weight really, really fucking
Facts.
fast. Like faster than any other diet I had been on. The I literally could gain 7 pounds in a week and not even eat. And it was because I was putting carbs back in my body. It was insane. It was fucking insane. And then my toe, when I was on the beach, I remember my toe started to cramp. And I remember somebody saying, "Oh, that means that you're low in magnesium or potassium or something like that." And I thought,
Potassium.
"Holy fuck, what am I doing? Like, what am I fucking doing?" You know?
Yeah,
But at that point, I had lost so much weight. It's like, what do? You try to maintain. But then, of course, you get a taste of normal food that week, and all bets were off. At that
yeah.
point, it was like, you miss
No,
bread
it's not
so
because you
much.
got a taste of normal food. It's like
Oh,
that may have been the thing in your brain that switched over. It's the
yeah.
fact that you were holding your breath for that year. You were holding your breath the whole
Yep.
time, and
Yep.
that's what I equate it to when you're not chipping off and making different decisions. You're like, "Nope." You're so focused, you're just gonna hold your breath and keep, like, blinders on, just go,
Yep.
go, go. It's
Yep.
not realistic. So whether
Yeah.
Mexico fucking buffet had come up or something else, eventually it's gonna break. Eventually it's gonna break. And if you have cramps, eat a banana. Potassium.
Yes, agreed. I totally agree with you. But, I'll
Mel
tell you
sometimes wakes up with wicked, wicked leg cramps. And then like the
yeah,
next day she put bananas on the grocery list. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it's true.
Anyway.
Well, I started for that week, once I started to consume, other food groups that I had been avoiding for the entire year, those
Yeah.
cramps went away. So there was obviously a deficit of something, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
But
total.
have you done low carb? I mean, outside of that other diet that we just talked about, have you done like an
I
Atkins
think
or
I've definitely done ones where I've watched my carbs. I
Mhm,
was doing, I would say the one that I was doing really consistently at one point, like 27, 16, 17,
mhm,
was my Fitness Pal and tracking everything I ate.
mhm,
And initially, I feel like I was focused on calorie deficit.
mhm,
And then when I started working with a personal trainer, she was pushing me to look at like the macros. Are you getting enough protein? Are you getting too much fat, carbs? Like, what does that mix look like? So that it was really trying to push me to focus on eating healthier foods.
mhm.
Um, she's also the trainer that said if I wanted a shot of vodka, I had to do some push ups. So there's that. I didn't always follow that rule though.
Well, you wanna know what's funny? I remember, going through some pictures and, I should show this to you. I should show you the collage I collected. It was like year after year after year, right? Like this year, next year, the following year, the following year. I was a different size every single year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every year. I'd be slim, I'd be fat, I'd be slim, I'd be fat, I'd be slim, I'd be fat. And it was like every year, literally CeeLo. And then I started going to therapy and I started talking about some food issues, right? And I
Yeah.
started to realize that I had binge eating disorder, right? Because I had been
Yeah.
yo-yo dieting so much that had skewed my view on food. And I started to try to practice. So it's the weirdest thing. So what she actually had me do was she was like, "You have to normalize food. You have to normalize it."
Yeah.
So, the Krispy Kreme donuts or the chips that you like or the chocolate that you like, she's like, "I want you to buy it. I want you to eat it. I want you to have some of that every single day." And it was
Yeah.
so bizarre to kind of switch your mindset that way, where you're kind of like, "What?" Like, I'm supposed to eat 2 donuts? Like, I'm supposed to,
Yeah.
But, it was definitely a process, and what she was trying to do was reduce that gold star of this donut is the gold star of the world. She was trying to reduce that view to say it's actually not. It's sitting beside this other thing that's just as good and just as yummy. So now, I mean, I still have food issues. I think I will have them for the rest of my life, but I have a much more conscious, aware, like much more awareness and consciousness
Yeah.
of how I eat. And I'll tell you, CeeLo, since I've been doing that, like over these last, few years,
Yeah.
my weight has been stable. So I haven't
For
lost, I
the
haven't
first time
gained for the
ever.
first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been stable and my nutrition profile is really, really good. And I think it's because now that some of these things are normal. So I have nice treats that are in the freezer or in the cupboard. And sometimes I end up having to throw them out because I just don't even get to them.
Yeah.
That would have never, ever, ever, ever happened for me in the past. If they were in the house, I'd be like, "Woo," right?
Yeah.
I'm gorging on them. But I have those things because I say to myself, when I feel like I need something sweet, I'll go in the freezer and I'll get a something sweet. But because a lot of that has been taken down, like that desire and that specialness of those foods have been kind of downplayed now for me. I'm actually sitting here saying, "Oh, you know what would be great? I would love to have, um, a squash with my meal tonight. I'd like to have, like
Yeah.
healthy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, can you make your roasted broccoli? Can you, da, da, da. So it's like
Mhm.
you begin to desire better for you foods, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
I do think that a lot of it centers around that relationship with food, and I
yeah,
mean, there's tons of research out there to say the yo-yo is not good for
yeah,
you. Um, I think
yeah,
for me, I'll never go on another diet again.
yeah,
I've mostly been consistent. Like,
yeah. But that's healthy
I'm
though,
when I'm
Cyril.
working. Eh?
That's
Pardon?
healthy. That's
Yeah.
healthy to do that. Like my doctor actually, my current doctor said, stability on your weight is much healthier than up and down,
Yeah, well,
right?
I
It's
get
the up and
that,
down that
but I
causes the
think
issues. Yeah.
being stably overweight is probably not
Well,
so good for me.
of
So, I
course,
think,
but it's better
like
than losing gaining.
yes, yes, I agree with you there, but I think when we talked to Christine, and I don't know, it just kind of sparked something in me. So, I've been trying to be more conscious about what I was putting in my mouth, and is
Yeah,
it something that's gonna fuel me,
right.
and I don't know how long I'll do this for, but I
Mhm.
think the older I get and the more I feel
Mhm.
my physicalness
Mhm.
decline almost,
Yeah.
like, that sounds so bad at this point, like, we're not that old. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but, we're getting there. We're starting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And my other friend Thompson, she was reading this book and she said how you live your life now is important because when, 20 years from now or when you're 80 and what that
Yeah,
looks like, are you going to be able to carry your groceries in from the car? Are you going to be able to do kind of those light activities
yeah,
if you're not doing more things now? And I'm like, yeah, that hit home. So all those
yeah,
things I think as you get older. But for me, I mean, the weakness I think has gotta be on the processed foods, the convenience foods, the foods that I grew up on.
yeah.
I think a single mom, 4 kids, there was probably a lot of convenient foods around, and so I think
Mhm.
that's probably where it started with me, and I do
Mhm.
love my sweets.
Yeah, I know you do.
Hard to give those up.
I know you do.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, let me tell you some interesting, information here that I thought was a little
Okay.
fun. So, the diet trends from the 1900s until now.
Okay.
Okay, so I
A
thought that would be kind of fun.
timeline. A
Okay,
diet timeline.
yeah,
Hit
in
me.
the 1910s, okay, it was all about counting calories. So that's how they kind of promoted weight loss. It was just calorie reduction, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In the 1920s, they came up with the cigarette diet. Yeah, where they would encourage reaching for a cigarette instead of a sweet. So it was encouraging smoking instead of grabbing sweets, and that was considered a healthier thing back in the 1920s.
Which is so funny because even a sweet thing back in the '20s was probably had way less additives and processed shit in it than it
Yeah.
does now.
And the cigarettes, I mean, it's like we now know that was, like, causing massive cancer
Oh
everywhere,
god, yeah,
and
total.
how they were promoting that for weight loss and how many women began smoking because of that, like, it was crazy, crazy, right?
Yeah, total.
In the 1930s, there was the grapefruit, banana, and skim milk diet. So, it was, that was
Yeah.
the diet advice of doctors at that time, and it was like eating a grapefruit before every meal. That was believed to stimulate weight loss, and I think that that carried itself through for the longest time
I was
because
gonna
I
say, yeah,
remember the grapefruit diet, remember?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that premise kinda stayed, it stuck, I guess. There was, also the bananas and skim milk diet as well, which was, promoted. So here's the funny thing about this. So the 2 diets that I mentioned to you, right? How they were saying, reach for a cigarette instead.
Yeah.
It was actually the, tobacco companies that got hired doctors to promote that as a way of losing weight so that they could actually promote sales. And the skim milk and banana diet in the 1930s, guess who created that diet? So they paid doctors to advocate to eat bananas and skim milk consistently to lose weight. Guess who paid those doctors to go and advertise that eating plan?
The milk producers of the US of A.
Chiquita. Chiquita Banana, baby.
Mhm. I was
Chiquita Banana.
close, it was one or the
Yeah,
other. I had a
it was.
50-50 chance on that.
I know, I know. Is that
Okay,
not
what are we
crazy?
at? That
I
is
know,
totally crazy.
I
That
know.
was the '20s?
That was the 30s.
30s.
That
Okay,
was the
30s.
30s. The 20s was
20s.
the cigarettes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, 1910s was just basic calorie restriction, which
Okay.
is a little bit more normal of a diet than any of the other ones.
More typical.
1940s, they had the
Yeah,
wartime rationing diet.
yeah.
So, I think, like, they don't say it, but I think that was probably, like, government kind of, promoted because everything was rationed at that point, right?
Yes.
So you couldn't get butter, you couldn't get, whatever, and so, or sugar or whatever. So, like, it's kind of like the government was like, "Hey, let's manipulate the people and say, hey, you know what would be great to lose weight? This wartime, ration diet, where you purposely don't eat butter and cheese and sugar and milk, the things that are already rationed anyways, right? So,
Right, right, right. Which
okay.
makes sense. Although now I'm thinking like the way my dad eats butter, it kind of that restriction rule that we were talking about
Yeah.
has clearly like he loves he could put
L-
like a quarter
Listen,
pound of butter on a bun. You know what
I
I'm
know.
saying?
I know. Butter is like delicious. And the
It's
thing is,
life.
you were talking about the half pound of bacon or whatever that I would eat when I was on Atkins. But I lost a shit ton of fucking weight, and I was eating all this bacon, so it's like you just mind you, I'm sure it was, like, super unhealthy, but, you just tell
The
your
saturated
dad to go to
fat
Atkins.
alone, yeah,
Yeah.
total.
Okay, here's a funny
Okay.
one. In the 1950s, there was the
Yes.
prayer diet.
Okay.
The d Have you heard of this one?
No, I'm like, "Jesus, please make me skinny." No?
Yeah, exactly. So the Reverend Charlie Shedd, so he authored Pray Your Weight Away, and he apparently lost 100 pounds himself. But basically, what he did was he advocated counting calories along with sustained and humble prayer. So basically, he was like, you can pray for support and guidance while you're reducing calories, and it's going to be successful. You'll lose weight that way. Yeah. hmm And
That
then
sounds like a con man scam.
doesn't it though? It sounds like a
Yeah.
guy who's trying to sell some books. Because
Yeah,
please, it's
total.
calorie restriction. It's not the prayer. Um, well, maybe it is the prayer. Maybe with all the like kneeling and standing, maybe it's creating
That's
muscle
like a
mass.
workout. Throw in a couple lunges.
Lunges.
I'm
Okay.
gonna pray to some Smarties later. Okay, go on.
In the 1960s, that's when Weight Watchers really kicked off, I should say. So Weight Watchers kind of
Okay,
really came into play in the 60s. So that
okay.
has been that with us forever, right?
Yeah.
Um, then in the 1970s, that's where all the diet pills started coming in. So the 19
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah, the
yeah. Like
1970s had
ephedrine and
all
shit?
had all of those really awful, I can't even pronounce, fenliproluminen or whatever the heck it was called, the fen, I think it was that one
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah, something like
Total.
that, yeah. So, but, they all kind of the diet pills really became mainstream in the '70s. That was when they were really promoted by doctors, and, there were even doctors that would prescribe what they called like a sleeping beauty diet where people would actually just be sedated. So they would like, have breakfast, have lunch, and then they would sedate them heavily. So that way they would like sleep through late afternoon all the way to the next morning and, use this sleeping pill every time they felt hungry. Because they figured, more sleep was believed to be greater for weight loss. But like
That could totally work. I think if I were sedated for a month, I'd be gold.
you'd
You know what I'm
also be
saying?
dead. But that's yes.
No,
I
but,
could,
like, maybe they just give me the cocktail of, like, the
yeah.
basic nutrition. Because you
Yeah.
think, like, what we were just saying about how the last couple of years we've both been pretty consistent, pretty much the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they just sedate me for a month, I wake
Yeah.
up, I remain consistent and the same.
Yeah.
Golden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Size 10, here we come.
All right, I'll sedate you. No problem. In the 1980s, that's when the Scarsdale diet came out. That was a really, really big one. It was like a high protein, kind of low carb, low calorie diet. So I think it
Yes,
was
yes,
created
yes.
by Dr. Herman Tarnower, whatever.
Yeah,
He created it, and he basically the whole premise of this was it's like you would for 2 weeks you'd be on this diet. It would
yeah.
be high protein, low carb, low cal for 2 weeks, and then you were 2 weeks off. And when you were off, you were instructed to consume fewer than 1,000 calories per day. So you would essentially just have, high protein, low carb, low cal 2 weeks, and then literally just watch under 1,000 calories every other 2 weeks. So they said that they would lose 20 pounds per week on this diet. And it's like, okay, well,
Wow.
maybe if you're eating under 1,000 calories per day,
Yeah, total.
perhaps.
I would
Yeah,
lose for sure.
me too. 90s is when the Atkins came out. Right? And that was huge. I remember everybody at work was doing Atkins. Everybody was doing, I think there was another one called Protein Power. Um,
They even had Atkins even had, like, granola bars and meal
oh yeah, they
replacement,
still
and you
do.
could
They
buy
still
all
do.
that crap.
They still do. And Rob Lowe is like a big promoter of Atkins. He has
I'm gonna go into the grocery store today, I'm gonna scan some of that and tell you what carcinogens are in it,
a shit ton, a
right?
shit
It's
ton
total
because
crap.
yeah, so I think Atkins kind of progressed over the years. Like it used to be all just, kind of like how when I was first doing it, it
Yeah,
was still kind of relatively new. And so I was doing the original, which was eat all the fat you want, eat all the protein you want, just don't eat any carbs, fruit, or minimal vegetables. Like literally, like that's all it was.
yeah, yeah,
And they have since, I think, morphed into some more healthy things where they're like, watch your fat intake and, you want to try to balance things. But it wasn't like that in the beginning. But
yeah.
the amount of supplemental things that they offer, like the bars and the treats and all that other stuff, they're filled with garbage. It's just garbage. It's money making,
Oh,
right?
100%, yeah,
Yeah. Then in the past, like so that was the 90s and the 2000s, that's where we start to get paleo, right? Paleo diet became really kind of big. Gluten-free diet
yeah,
became really big, and that's where a lot of the healthy eating started, like the whole food diet, clean eating. So there were all these books. Like I can take a look at my bookshelf over here and I've got like every fucking diet that's in the world on there. And like, yeah, and it's like and then Suzanne Summers, remember her? She came out with,
yeah, the
yeah,
Thigh
she
Master.
the Thigh Master girl, but she actually came out with a version of the Mediterranean diet, which today is promoted as one of the healthiest ways to eat,
Yes.
right? The Mediterranean diet. But she actually came out with that, gosh, years and years and years ago. Um,
Well,
and
because
yeah,
it's not a diet per se, it's the food, and it's
yeah,
eating
it's
real
what you
food,
eat. It's what you
and
eat.
it's
Yeah.
high veggie, you know?
Yeah, there's like beans and lentils and
Plus
vegetables
there's
and
feta cheese.
lots of fish. I know, lots of fish. Like it's real food, and that's a
Yeah,
lot of and a lot of fiber, right? There's a lot of fiber in
yeah.
that too. And a lot
I
of
was
omega
listening.
3 foods too.
Yeah, total.
Yeah.
I was listening to a pod, I think last week, and they were talking about because you'd mentioned carbs, and then I forgot. I
Mhm.
think maybe this was the train that I forgot about earlier, and now you said it again, and so now it was reminding me.
Mhm.
But on the pod, they were talking about carbohydrates
Mhm.
and, um, why they're so important for your brain
I know. I know.
because the carbohydrates are the preferred energy source for the brain.
I know.
Did you know that?
I did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I knew carbs have pluses and minuses for sure,
Mhm.
right? It goes to
Mhm.
sugar, it gets stored unless
Mhm.
you burn it up. Got that
Mhm.
part. But I didn't know that it was the preferred, energy source from your brain, which I thought was kinda cool.
Yeah.
So, I'm
It
gonna go have a croissant.
No, 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 no. So it's the
My
type of
brain.
you're feeding your brain. It's the type
Feeding
of
my brain.
carbs.
Yeah.
So let's keep in mind,
I
and this
know,
is
I know.
okay. So I know that with the I'm not lecturing you. I'm just setting you straight, baby girl. So no, no, it's with Atkins, right? And those high protein, low carb kind of diets where they villainized carbs.
Yeah,
People kind of went crazy with I can't eat carbs, I can't eat carbs. But it's the
yeah.
type of carbohydrate that makes the difference. So if you're talking white Wonder Bread, that's bullshit. That's crap. It's not gonna do much for you. But
Mm,
to have, carbohydrate from a root vegetable like, squash is wonderful for you. To
yeah,
have whole grain or whole wheat products, wonderful for you.
yeah.
Full fibrous, the beans and lentils that are, carbohydrate rich, but they're filled with fiber and nutrients and everything else. So it's those kinds of carbohydrates that your brain loves. It's
Yeah.
the shit. It's the ultra processed
Oh, I
bullshit
know.
that is what you just need to
Like
stay away from.
croissants.
I know, like croissants, but the carbohydrates are actually not bad for you. It's just the
Yeah.
type, right?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I
Yeah,
just thought anything where you read something about carbs that is good news instead of always bad
yeah.
news. Like I've heard people say, "No, no, I don't eat carrots. They're too high in carbs." I'm like, "What the fuck?
I
It's a
used to say that
carrot."
too. Remember when I would come over, you guys would be
Yes.
making me dinner and I'd be like, "Listen, I cannot have any starchy vegetables,
I'm
nothing.
like,
No
"It's not the
carrots."
carrots, it's the
Yeah,
croissants."
yeah, yeah,
Let's just put that out there, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
You are gonna go have a croissant. What are you doing? Are you picking hair off of your
Well,
body?
there was like a hair stuck to my sweater.
It's like you're
Sorry.
babying yourself.
I feel like I have trouble sitting still.
Yeah, you move a lot.
Do you notice this? Like,
Mhm.
since we've been doing the
Yes,
video, you, like,
yes,
sit there at your mic
yeah,
chatting away.
yeah.
The only thing really moving, lips, eyes. Me, I'm, like, touching my hair, touching
Yeah,
my
you
face,
are.
fixing my
All the
sweater.
time, all the
What
time.
the
Yeah.
fuck? I need to be diagnosed.
Look, you're doing it
Um,
again. What are you biting your fingernail for?
well, it's on my fingernail. I have, like,
Yeah,
skin coming off on my thumb. Okay, go on. Where were we? 70s, 80s? What are we doing?
that's it. I'm done. I'm gonna sedate you. I think what we need to do is the sedation diet, the sleeping beauty diet.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll just start taking sleeping pills like crazy. We won't,
yeah. And how do they wake you up? Like, with
I
coffee?
don't know. With a new Black Friday sale coffee machine,
Black
maybe that's
Friday
what we
sale
need to do.
coffee
Yeah,
machine.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
totally.
Are you gonna go shopping
Interesting.
this weekend?
Um, I was gonna run out to grab, one thing on my daughter's Christmas list. Shh, don't tell
Okay.
her. But yeah, that's about it, I think. I gotta
Nothing
come
for
home and
you?
get ready for the game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But nothing for you? You're not gonna indulge in any Black Friday sales for you?
No, I
No?
don't
Did
buy
you
for myself, Beau, come on. I'm
Okay,
deprived.
I'm sorry. Why don't
Anything
you
I think the kids have been asking what's on my wish list for Christmas,
Uh-huh.
and so anything that I think about buying, I put on that wish list so they can
Okay.
you know what I mean? So we're
I know.
good, don't worry.
Got it.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, my darling. Well, this was fun.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Well, I hope you do too. I hope
We'll
you
talk to you
eat whole wheat croissants. Okay. Talk to you soon, CeeLo.
Bye. Thanks for taking a seat at the table today. We love our dinner guests.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow The Dinner Agenda on the podcast platform you use so that you don't miss any new episodes. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Dinner Agenda.
We look forward to hearing your comments, questions, and even ideas you may have on future episodes.
Thanks for taking this journey with us.